We pay more attention to our entertainers and our athletes than we do our intellectuals, than our thinkers. And then if you are going to be a quote unquote intellectual or a thinker, you're only accepted if you're speaking the common narrative. It's never a black person first agenda, a B1 agenda, as Dr. Boyce Watkins would say. There's never that agenda that gets pushed forward. It's always lumped in with this stupid idea of intersectionality. And intersectionality means that there are places where our interests align, where our interests intersect, but that does not mean that our interests are necessarily aligned all the time on all things. When I look at the leading voices, particularly in media here in the United States, when I look at the people who have either been given platforms, have created platforms, and then have been given even greater platforms, it's a lot of people who have criminal records. And nothing's wrong with people having criminal records and creating a lane of their own, but it just further perpetuates this thing of, when you looked at the music industry, it was a mixture of people cosplaying drug dealers, and then it was drug dealers who were cosplaying as rappers, and then people now trying to transition from a life of crime and drugs to now transitioning to music. And when I look at the podcast industry, it's a lot of people who are transitioning from a life of crime or things like that to becoming YouTubers and podcasters and becoming these influential voices. And I think, what is it about the black intellectual ideas or voice that isn't hidden, right? For somebody like Marc Lamont Hill, he's been exposed to a much wider audience by being on the Joe Budden podcast. Dr. Marc Lamont Hill has been on CNN. He's currently a host on Al Jazeera, but a leading black intellectual and black thinker, but he did not necessarily get the kind of exposure that I think that he deserves until he got on the Joe Budden podcast, right? So when I think about what goes on in our community and why we're in the state that we're in, is that we are so focused on education and not focused on business, not focused on politics, the things that actually move the needle.